So Joseph is now at the right hand of Pharaoh, serving in the whole land of Egypt. And not just the land of Egypt, the whole world is coming to buy food from Joseph. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you keep just looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." That's how serious this is for the family of God, for God's people. They are in danger of dying in a famine. The godly line is in danger of being wiped out. The Messiah's line is in danger of coming to an end. Don't miss how this fits into the wider plot line of Scripture. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, but Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. I don't know whether this implies that every individual who was travelling to Egypt had to come and deal with Joseph personally. It seems a little bit unlikely, in that surely most people, there'd be too many people, and there might be other servants delegated to take on some of this responsibility. I don't know, but the bottom line is, it's no accident that the brothers come to Joseph, because there was a dream, and this dream is being fulfilled at this moment. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. What's going through his mind? We're talking years he's been away from home now. He was at least 2 years in prison, forgotten. He'd also had the journey to Egypt. He'd had the time in Potiphar's house. He's now had 7 years of good before this 7 years of famine. How quickly have they travelled after the famine started? We're looking at a decade, maybe many more years. Joseph recognises them. And as he does, is the dream suddenly going through his mind? They're bowing down, just like those sheaves of corn in his dream. How does he contain himself? But what does he do? But he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Now what's going on here? Why is he so nasty? Is this just revenge? Ha! These are the brothers who wanted me dead, and now's my chance? Well, we've got to read on a little bit to see how the plot develops to find out what's going on here. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them, and said to them, "You are spies. You've come to see where our land is unprotected." So it's in the memory of the dream now that the actions are being worked out. He's got an idea, he's got a thought, he's got a plan. His harshness might have started by that initial bile rising and anger, but now actually, as his mind is beginning to process what's going on, he accuses them of being spies. Why? What's going on here? "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them. "You've come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." And Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies. And this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here." Now, clearly this is not just a test of whether they are spies. On the surface, it seems as though here is a stranger to them, and they've come up with this story, and they've mentioned their younger brother, and now he's saying, "Right, you produce him, and I might believe you." But actually, this is Joseph testing his brothers. He's wanting to know their attitudes, what's changed, what's developed, how they reflected on those years, what are they going to do, and how are they going to behave. So he says to them, "Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days. So what's at issue here, what he's testing for, is the telling of the truth. Now, they've been lying for all these years that he's dead. He doesn't know what they've told his father, but clearly they must have covered up somehow. And they are now going to serve in custody just like he has done, although only for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and that you may not die." This they proceeded to do. They said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come on us." And here's a part of the story we hadn't heard before. We'd heard about them discussing what to do about Joseph and him being sold then into slavery. We weren't told in that chapter how Joseph responded, but here now it is their memory of that. He was distressed. He pleaded for his life, and they closed their ears. And they're now recognising that that distress they put Joseph through is now coming back on them. Reuben replied, "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." They did not realise that Joseph could understand them, since he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them and began to weep. But they came back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. So Joseph is aware of what's going on. Emotionally, it's tearing him apart. He's weeping as he sees them reflecting on what they did to him and the damage they caused, and the recognition that what is happening is a just judgment on them, that their sins have been found out. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. Is this an act of generosity? Is this part of the plan to make them really struggle in all of this? Given that they'd gone back to their father with a lie in the past, with silver in their pockets? I'm not entirely sure, but it certainly adds to the story. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of his sack. "My silver's been returned," he said to his brothers. "Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" It's interesting, isn't it, that they are very conscious. They have a strong conscience that their sin is being dealt with by God. They are confident that what is going on is the Lord's work. They've got no idea that Joseph's got anything to do with this, but they are very conscious that God is supervising these events and punishing them for their wickedness. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, "The man who is lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land. But we said to him, 'We are honest men, we're not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan.' And the man who is lord over the land said to us, 'This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you're not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land.' As they were entering their sacks, there in each man's sack was his pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. Their father Jacob said to them, 'You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me.'" It's worth just noting in this, as Joseph looks at the facts of the situation, that feels exactly a good summary. Joseph is no more, Simeon is no more, take Benjamin, everything is against me. That's how Jacob feels. Remember, this is the deceiver who was always working things for his good, and now in the midst of this even grander deception, he feels as though he's lost everything. But actually none of it is true, is it? Joseph is, and Simeon is, and Benjamin won't be taken. And actually all of this is going to be working for Jacob's provision. And it's worth remembering that when we are children of the living God, we may well face circumstances in this life where everything seems against us, everything has gone wrong. It feels so unjust, so unfair. God is at work. He's working his purposes out. He is promising to lead us safely home. Nothing can endanger that promise, and he will not let his people be lost. And so that's the confidence here, and it's good for us to see Jacob in this moment, because we will be in those moments when we feel this. It's good to read through this story and walk in these men's sandals and feel the pain of the journey as we travel to the end, because this will be our experience at times too. Then Reuben said to his father, "You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." This is remarkable. Reuben has already tried to protect Joseph from being killed by his brothers, but now he's offering his own sons. He's making a sacrificial gesture. But Jacob said, "My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he's the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my grey head down to the grave in sorrow. And so this conversation ends. Jacob is not going to let them go again. He's not going to let the story continue. There's no way that he is going to lose another son. He is going to actually fight God's purposes of saving him and his family as he resists in this moment. He is so depressed, distressed, so discouraged in his loss. Now, we know there's another story afoot, but Jacob doesn't, and nor do his brothers. At this moment they are in despair. But Joseph's on the throne for their behalf. And that's what we need to remember as Christians today. We can go through circumstances where everything seems to be against us, but Jesus is on the throne on our behalf. And because he is there, we can have confidence. Even though the script seems to make no sense of Jesus being on the throne at the moment, we can trust him.